Currently, Earth.
It was April 13th in the year 1360 that on so-called Black Monday, a hailstorm continues the eternity of an estimated 1,000 English soldiers in Chartres, France. The storm and the devastation it caused also played a part in the Hundred Years' War between England and France. The Hundred Years' War began in 1337. By 1359, King Edward III of England was actively attempting to conquer France. In October, he took a massive force across the English Channel in Calais. The French refused to engage in direct fights and stayed behind protective walls throughout the winter, while Edward pillaged the countryside. In April of 1360, Edward's forces burned the Paris suburbs and began to move towards Chartres. While they were camped outside the town, a sudden storm materialized. Lightning struck, continuing the eternity of several people, and hailstones began pelting the soldiers, scattering the horses. One described it as, quote, a foul day full of mist and hail so that men died on horseback, unquote. Two of the English leaders continued their eternity, and panic set in among the troops, who had no shelter from the storm. The heavy losses suffered by the English were seen by many as a sign from God. King Edward was convinced to negotiate peace with the French. On May 8th in 1360, the Treaty of Brittany was signed, marking the end of the first phase of the Hundred Years' War. Edward agreed to renounce all claims to the throne of France, though he was given control of land in the north of the country. Fighting resumed 9 years later when the King of France declared war, claiming Edward had not honored the treaty. The last phase of the Hundred Years' War did not end until 1453. It was April 13th in the year 1964 that Sidney Poitier becomes the first African American to win the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as a construction worker who helped build a chapel in Lilies of the Field of 1963. Sidney Poitier was born in 1927 while his parents were visiting the U.S. from the Bahamas, where his father was a tomato farmer. As a teenager, Poitier dropped out of school and returned to America to enlist in the U.S. Army during World War II. After his military stint, he became interested in theater and applied to the American Negro Theater in New York City. Rejected initially because of his strong island accent, Poitier trained himself in American enunciation and reapplied, this time successfully. He debuted on Broadway in 1946 in an all-black production of Lysistrata, and by 1950, he was appearing in Hollywood films, beginning with No Way Out. By consistently refusing to play the stereotypical roles that were offered to him as a black actor, Poitier blazed a trail for himself and the performers who followed him. By the time he earned a Best Actor Oscar nomination for The Defiant Ones in 1958, his work in such film as The Blackboard Jungle in 1955 had made him America's first black prominent film star. With his historic Oscar win for Lilies of the Field, Poitier became only the second African American to win an Academy Award. The first was Hattie McDaniel, who won the Best Supporting Actress category in 1939 for Gone with the Wind. McDaniel played Mammy, the tough but indulgent enslaved governess to the spoiled Southern belle Scarlett O'Hara. Critics of the film, including the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, later pointed to the role as an example of the typical black stereotypes that Hollywood was keeping alive. When presenting Poitier with his Oscar statuette, the actress Anne Bancroft congratulated him with a kiss on the cheek, a gesture that caused a mild scandal among the show's most conservative audiences. Poitier took part in a more momentous kiss 3 years later when he and Catherine Houghton shared the first interracial on-screen kiss in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner of 1967. It was April 13th in 1997 that 21-year-old Tiger Woods wins the prestigious Masters tournament by a record 12 strokes in Augusta, Georgia. It was Woods' first victory in one of golf's four major championships: the U.S. Open, the British Open, the PGA Championship, and the Masters, and the greatest performance by a professional golfer in more than a century. It also made him the youngest golfer by 2 years to win the Masters and the first person of Asian or African heritage to win a major. Eldrick Tiger Woods was born in a suburb of Los Angeles, California on December 30th in 1975. The only child of an African-American father and a Thai mother, Woods was encouraged from infancy by his father for a career in golf. At the age of 2, he teed off against comedian Bob Hope on television's Mike Douglas show. At 5 years old, he was featured on the television show That's Incredible. At age 8, Woods won his first junior world championship. And in 1991, at the age of 15, he became the youngest player ever to win the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship. He also captured the 1992 and 1993 junior amateur titles, and in 1994 accepted a scholarship to attend Stanford University. That year, he came from 6 holes behind to win the first of his 3 consecutive U.S. amateur championships. He was 18 years old and the youngest amateur championship in history. In 1995, Woods played the Masters, his first professional major championship. The Augusta National Golf Club, which runs the Masters, had not let an African-American join its ranks until 1991. Woods finished 41st in his first Masters appearance. In 1996, he won the collegiate title. By this time, he was already attracting considerable media attention and attracting throngs of new fans to the sport. After claiming his 3rd U.S. amateur title, Woods left college and turned professional in August of 1996. Playing as a pro in 8 Professional Golfers Association PGA events in 1996, he won a title and was named the PGA Tour's Outstanding Rookie. In December of 1996, he was celebrated by the magazine Sports Illustrated as its Sportsman of the Year. In professional play, most of Woods' opponents were in their late 30s or early 40s. At 6'2" and 155 pounds, he was slender and athletic and had developed a devastating swing that routinely allowed him to hit drives of more than 300 yards. He also had a reputation for mental toughness and was a superb putter and chipper. In April of 1997, all these attributes came together for the most decisive victory in the Masters' 44-year history. His margin of victory, 12 strokes, was the largest in the 20th century and second only to old Tom Moore's 13-shot margin at the 1862 British Open. His score of 18 under par, 270, broke Jack Nicklaus's 32-year-old master record of 17 under par, 271. By June of 1997, Woods was ranked number 1 in the world. In 1999, he won 8 PGA tournaments, earned a record $6 million, and began a winning streak that eventually tied Ben Hogan's 1948 streak, the second longest in PGA history. In June 2000, he won his first U.S. Open title, shooting a record 12 under par 272 to finish 15 strokes ahead of his nearest competitors. It was the greatest professional golf performance in history, surpassing even his 1997 Masters triumph and old Tom Morris's 1862 showing. In July of 2000, he captured the British Open, and in August, the PGA Championship. At the age of 24, he was the youngest player ever to win all 4 major golf titles and just the second to win 3 majors in a year. On April 10th in 2005, he earned his 4th green sports coat at Augusta National, becoming the first person to win 4 Masters before age 30. Woods' winning pace slowed around 2004 when he devoted time to reworking his swing and rehabilitating his surgically repaired knee. It was also during this period that he married Ellen Nordegren, a Swedish former model who would become the mother of his 2 children. Woods was back in top form by 2005, winning his 10th major. His performance fluctuated throughout the rest of the decade as he struggled with a torn ACL and personal problems that garnered substantial media attention. In late 2009, in the wake of events surrounding a car accident outside Woods' Florida home, several women came forward claiming to have had affairs with the famous golfer. Nordegren divorced him in August of 2010, just as Woods began his first winless season of his career. After dropping from the international rankings, Woods' career started rebounding in 2013. He won the Masters tournament in 2019, his first major championship win in 11 years. The historic information divulged on this audio file can be verified on history.com.